2 hours afterward, he came on deck, as the boat was about to double the island of Elba. They were just abreast of Marciana, and beyond the flat but verdant island of La Pianosa. The peak of Monte Cristo, reddened by the burning sun, was seen against the azure sky. Dante ordered the helmsman to put down his helm, in order to leave La Pianosa to starboard, as he knew that he should shorten his course by 2 or 3 knots. About 5 o'clock in the evening, the island was distinct, and everything on it was plainly perceptible, owing to that clearness of the atmosphere peculiar to the light which the rays of the sun cast at its setting. Edmond gazed very earnestly at the mass of rocks, which gave out all the variety of twilight colors, from the brightest pink to the deepest blue, and from time to time his cheeks flushed, his brow darkened, and a mist passed over his eyes. Never did a gamester, whose whole fortune is staked on one cast of the die, experience the anguish which Edmond felt in his paroxysms of hope. Night came, and at 10 o'clock they anchored. La Jeune Amélie was the first at the rendezvous. In spite of his usual command over himself, Dante could not restrain his impetuosity. He was the first to jump on shore, and had he dared, he would, like Lucius Brutus, have kissed the Mother Earth. It was dark, but at 7 o'clock the moon rose in the midst of the ocean, whose every wave she silvered, and then ascending high, played the floods of pale light on the rocky hills of the second Pilion. The island was familiar to the crew of La Jeune Amélie. It was one of her regular haunts. As to Dante, he passed it on his voyage to and from the Levant, but never touched at it. He questioned Jacopo. "Where shall we pass the night?" he inquired. Dumas is using a lot of references in this passage to Greek mythology, to Roman history. There's a lot going on here. Should we start to break it down a little bit? Let's start with the reference to Brutus. He says that he had an impulse to kiss his Mother Earth, which, to be honest, I am not getting the metaphor exactly here. Like, to my simple, stupid understanding of Roman history, Brutus kissing the Mother Earth was essentially showing his loyalty to the empire, a sort of reflection of Roman virtue. Where Dante's doing it, I mean, it almost, to me, seems less like a call to Brutus and loyalty to any kind of earth, but more like someone stranded at sea for so long, finally coming home and getting that mouthful of sand as he kisses the ground for the first time in forever. So what would the connection to that reference be here? I'm not entirely sure. But then he calls Pilion, which is a mountain that was essentially created by the giants when they were assaulting Olympus, which this makes a little more sense because it is like bringing forth a myth into reality, and Dante is looking at Monte Cristo as this mythical place. That one makes more sense to me. And lastly, there was one more metaphor in here that maybe is worth bringing out, just to kind of transition this into talking about Dumas as an author and as a person. He talks about the gamester, that, this wasn't, he associates Dante with a gambler, essentially, saying that a gambler, putting everything on the line for one toss of the die, couldn't possibly feel what Dante's feeling in this moment. So what do we have here? Historical, mythological, and cultural references in one page. Dumas, I don't know, kind of feels like he's showing off a little bit here. You ever see one of those people who just like know a bit too much and have to get it out at any given opportunity? You know what? Listen, I mean, no one's going to be listening. This show ain't that big. I'm not going to be ruffling any feathers if I name check a very specific person that comes to mind. Even still, I don't want to be rude. So let me just put it this way, very obliquely. There is one person of a very specific and very successful, popular YouTube duo that comes to mind when I think of someone who knows a little bit about a lot of things and needs to make sure that everyone around him knows those things. You may watch that show in the morning every day. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe you're like me at 43 years old and you're like, what's YouTube? All of that to say, Dumas kind of feels like he's showing off a little bit here. I talked yesterday about the differences between this sort of poetic or flowery way of writing and the more straightforward modern way of writing. And whatever, like this doesn't bother me at all the way that he's making these comparisons. But like, there are times when you have to look at yourself as a communicator. And, when I'm at work sometimes, it's a good reminder to go, okay, not everyone has your frame of reference. Not everyone has, the 1844 French vocabulary that you are immersing yourself in. So I get reminders every once in a while that goes, oh yeah, what does that word mean that you just used? And have to adjust and explain myself a little bit more clearly. Did I just associate myself with that unnamed YouTuber? Oh my God, folks, this is a therapy moment. I'm just recognizing something. Am I that person? Oh shit. Okay. I got to reflect on this. Wow. I hope I'm not a mansplainer. But, I mean, I've got 261 episodes here that maybe is evidence of the contrary. Oh no, I have to do some self-reflection. I got to make sure my head's on straight. Oh boy. Okay. Meet me here tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have my life figured out by then. Okay, until then, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.